Hi there, and today we're going to be talking about 8 American fall traditions that you will see in Denmark, and 8 you won't. Stay tuned. Welcome back. If you're new to my channel, my name is Kelly and I'm an American living in a small town in the peninsula of Denmark. So if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that red subscribe button and ring the bell to get notifications whenever I post new videos. So today we're going to be talking about fall traditions that we have in the US that you're actually going to see here in Denmark. And I wanted to talk about this because I know that I would be very interested to know what other countries do during the fall holidays. But also, at the end of this video, I'm going to be telling you some things that the Danes don't do. Some things that you won't see here in Denmark for reasons unknown. So you'll have to make sure that you stick around for that. All right, and remember, I live in a very small town surrounded by farmland. So what happens here might be different than what happens in other parts of Denmark. So please be sure that if you are living in Denmark and you have a different experience, put it in the comments, let us know where you live, so that way we can learn about how Denmark differs depending on where people live. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So number 1, and these are no particular order, just some things that I've noticed that I really wanted to share with you. Number 1 is Halloween shopping. So when I came to Denmark, I was actually really surprised when I walked in to one of our larger stores to see Halloween kind of thrust into my face, and I was just so surprised. I thought, they don't celebrate Halloween here. What's with all the Halloween stuff? I saw some candy and costumes, but believe me, it is nothing like what you would find in the US. When we look at Halloween shopping here, it does exist. I love handing out candy for trick or treat, and when I saw that they actually had, and I just opened this up, but I actually found this bag of candy. This is empty because I'm going to show you where I put it. But this, it says it's actually from Spain. So I don't know a whole lot about candies from all over the world, but I don't really know this brand. And but if you look at the packaging, like I said, it's from Spain. Interesting. But inside, and I put it in my little candy dish. Don't you just love this? I bought this in the US. I don't even know where I got it from. Does it say? No. Okay, but anyways, it says trick or treat. Smell my feet. It's cute. But this is a candy dish that I use every year for Halloween. I put it by the door, and then when the trick-or-treaters come. But I don't want to jump the gun and tell you too much about like trick-or-treating. So you're going to have to wait for that. But anyways, what do I find in this bag? I find these, and they kind of look like candy corn in a way. Or, I don't know, like, in my mind, if they were opposite, like this was red and this was white, they could look like teeth. That'd be kind of neat. But they look like kind of like a marshmallowy thing. And then there's like a sour gummy, which I love these. So I'm going to be probably passing these out last, just in case there might be any left over. This says Boom Liquid. I don't know what it is. I mean, these are just, like random things, like a... Suckers, I don't know. This looks like a tennis ball. I don't know what this stuff is. Another, like, it looks like kind of like a Jolly Rancher or something. But yeah, there's just, what in the world is that? Zombie. What? Candy gum. It's a zombie. So you can find stuff here. The costumes are not going to be anything too crazy, but we actually have a store here called Billy, which is a place where you can find costumes year round. That store reminds me a lot of Spencer's, if you've been to Spencer's in the US. If not, I can't describe Spencer's. Funny note about Spencer's is there's always this middle section I swear it was like the naughty section. I don't know. Like, I don't know. Yeah. If you're an American and you know Spencer's, maybe you can write a little description about it in a comment section so I don't have to talk about it. But Billy, you can find like costumes there. I wouldn't say it's a huge store and a lot of selection, but you can. In the US, we have Halloween stores that tend to pop up every year when it's Halloween, and they have nothing inside but Halloween stuff. And I mean, it's mostly costumes and masks and wigs and paint and all different kinds of things. And so that's not something that I've seen in Denmark. You're gonna find maybe a section of a toy store for kids' clothes or kids' costumes, or you'll find a section maybe in like the grocery store. But you're not gonna find huge areas for Halloween shopping, but it does exist. Number 2, let's just stick with the Halloween theme, shall we? Number 2 is trick or treat, because I can't avoid talking about this. I'm so excited about Halloween. But trick or treat exists in Denmark, and it's something that is very new in my opinion, because if you ask people, especially where I live, older traditional people, they will say, no, we don't have that. That is American. That's not something that we do. But I had a trick-or-treater at my house last year, and she came of her own free will, and she knows she could come to the American house because we will give her candy. I love trick-or-treating. I love it. Trick-or-treat here, when we first moved here, I don't know what I thought. I thought, okay, I'm seeing some Halloween things here and there. Maybe they trick-or-treat. I live on a street with a lot of older people. So when my kids went trick-or-treating that first year, nobody knew what was going on. They had never had a trick-or-treater before. And I'm like, oh, great. You know, I boost my kids up to do this and they're excited, and then nobody's prepared. And I was just like, oh man. So a lot of our neighbors ended up giving our kids like money, and I felt so bad. I'm like, this is not what Halloween is. My kids need candy. And I kept thinking, if I were more prepared, I should have gone around to all the houses and said, my kids are coming by. Here's something to give to them. It's only 20 houses. I could have done it. Maybe I'll be more prepared for the next time. But the thing is that it varies depending on where you live in Denmark. I have friends who live in Herning, and they said that they got quite a few trick-or-treaters at their house last year. But then here, I had one last year, so it's very different. Do you live in Denmark? What are your experiences with trick-or-treat specifically? Have you had any trick-or-treaters come to your house? How many, and where do you live? I'm very, very interested in knowing how it's different in the different towns. I'm wondering if it varies because of the American influence. You know, does this little girl down the street all of a sudden want to trick or treat because she knows there's American on her street? I don't know. Let me know your ideas in the comments. I'm really, really interested in knowing. But I love trick or treat, and it's something that I think is slowly making its way into Denmark. But I don't know. What do you think? Number 3 is Halloween parties. Now, Halloween parties, I'm a bit on the fence about this one, because when we first moved here 3.5 years ago, my husband's friends had a Halloween party. So what do? We dressed up in costume. And we get there and nobody's dressed up in costume. And I'm thinking, didn't they say this was a Halloween party? Halloween party equals costume. But they must have thought that it equaled something else because nobody had a costume. And I'm like, I'm gonna sit here in my Cleopatra costume. I don't care. You need to know what a Halloween party is. So yeah, I would say that maybe adults haven't had the experience of Halloween as children, so they don't really know. But I am pleased to say that that is different when we talk about the kids. So my kids go to SFO. It's an after-school care kind of thing. You know, we have it in the US as well. But they have a party every year for Halloween where the kids get to dress up and they have candy and different activities and things like that. And that I am so happy for, because I don't want my kids to miss out on some of the wonderful things I think that we have in the US. So I'm so glad that they have a Halloween party in their SFO. And with them dressing up and the SFO teachers dressing up, I think that is fantastic. So when we think about Halloween parties, you know, I think that it all depends, but again, Denmark is slowly taking on this tradition, and really it's not that you're becoming more Americanized. That's not how I see it. I think that you're just having fun. You know, when I lived in the US, I celebrated Cinco de Mayo, which is the 5th of May, which is a Mexican holiday. And why did I celebrate it? Because I wanted to have fun. I wanted a great excuse to drink margaritas and eat Mexican food. Did I celebrate it the way that the Mexicans do? Probably not, but I was still very excited to do something different and have some fun. Number 4 is carving pumpkins. Now, this is something that I really didn't think that I would see in Denmark. And I wasn't really sure about farming in Denmark, you know, how easy it would be to find pumpkins. But you go to any grocery store in October and you can buy a pumpkin easily. But we went to a local farm to buy our pumpkins, and they actually cost the same price. And we had a larger selection, and they had so many gourds, and you know, they had like white pumpkins and yellow pumpkins, and I don't know, it was just so neat what we found. I really had a good time just shopping, I guess you could say, on this farm for pumpkins. And we came home and we carved them. We do that every year. My boys really love to carve the pumpkins, and then we make the pumpkin seeds. It's just a really great tradition. Now, we actually went to the, oh no, I hope I'm saying this right, the Mønsted Kalkgruber, which is a limestone mine just outside of Viborg. I actually have a post on it. You can check out the link here on my blog, and it talks about going to the mine in October. They have this thing where you can go and you can actually carve your own pumpkin, and then they have people put the pumpkins, the jack-o'-lanterns that they made, inside the mine. It's really cool because they put the candles in there and it's dark, and I don't know, it's just really cool. But I've seen a lot of jack-o'-lanterns in different places. I've seen a lot of places that decorate with pumpkins. You know, if you go to a zoo or you go to an amusement park or any of these types of places, you're going to see pumpkins out decorating. And I love pumpkins. I don't know if you can see, I've got a couple. Actually, I've got another one. I love decorating with pumpkins. I have like 2 more on my table. I've got them spread out all through my house. My house definitely has a lot of pumpkins because I think it's great to have as a decoration. Going with the Halloween theme, my number 5 is haunted places. Now, I wouldn't say that Denmark goes to the extreme that the US does, and I will talk about that in a little bit. But when we were in Odense last year, we went to the zoo. And the zoo actually had a separate section that was their haunted section, which I thought was really kind of interesting because I hadn't seen anything like that before in Denmark. And that is something that you do see here, but you know, maybe not as much. Also in Odense, they have this thing called the Magic Days. I'm gonna try to put a link to that. I don't know how many links I can put back to my blog, but otherwise it will be in the description. I have quite a few different posts on my blog about what Halloween is like in Denmark with different pictures, and then I have a post about the limestone mines and about the Magic Days. But the Magic Days is a lot like a Harry Potter festival, but I don't think they want to limit themselves just to like Harry Potter type of stuff. But that's a really big part of it. And we went to a theater there that was haunted. You know, so the pictures, the eyes were moving, and there was like ghosts and everything. And it wasn't anything super scary. It was something that my son at the time, he was 6, and he had just turned 6. He was actually okay with doing. So you will find kind of like spooky places. It's definitely nothing like the spooky places that we have in the US. And believe me, we have some spooky stuff. But it is out there. You just have to know where to find it. Number 6, corn mazes. And I have to say, we are so excited that we just found a really cool corn maze not too far from Viborg in the town of Bjerring in Denmark. I'm going to put the link in the description about that. And you should be able to find more information in another one of my YouTube videos on it. This place is really cool. We have corn mazes in the US, and I'm thinking of one in particular, and it's called Yamanak, and I'll put a link to that as well. I'm gonna link it up down there in that description section. But the Yamanak one is in northern Illinois in the US, and it is so cool because every year they make like some sort of design out of the corn that you can see from, I don't know, the air, like if you have a drone or something. But I don't know. I mean, it's your typical maze. You could go one way and you're like, oh, nope, got to turn around. Oh, nope. When it gets closer to Halloween, it will be completely dark outside and you'll have to go with your flashlight, and then they'll have like people in the corn jumping out and scaring you and chasing you with chainsaws and all kinds of things. It's not for everyone, but it's a lot of fun. The one that we found here in Bjerring, it's actually at a place called Bjerring Natur or Fritid. And it was really, really cool. I didn't know what to expect when I think about a corn maze in Denmark, but there were actually 3 mazes there. The first maze, when you go in with your clipboard and your paper and pencil, and they have all these posts that you have to find where it has kind of like a lyric or something from a children's song, and then there's a blank, and you have to fill in the blank with one of the multiple choice answers, and then you have to write it down and everything. The second maze is definitely more challenging. And then they have a third one, which is really just kind of like a path, in a circle, which I think would be really good for people with limited mobility, or people with strollers, or little kids who want to go out and do something fun, but maybe they don't have a lot of energy for those sorts of things. So they have something for everybody. Corn mazes exist in Denmark, and I have heard that there are more out there. This was our first experience, and we have to say we loved it. It was great. Do you know of any other corn mazes in Denmark? Let me know about it in the comments. I would really love to know about it, and I really want to know where you live in Denmark if that is the case. Okay, my number 7 is a bit controversial, I would say, in my mind, because last year was the first year I noticed this. We get these flyers in the mail from local stores, people do. It's nothing out of the ordinary. But this one was for Bilka, I'm just going to tell you. And on the front page, it had a picture of people sitting at a table, and it said something like Thanksgiving. And then underneath the picture of the people eating, it had all of these ads for different things you could buy, like a turkey, and I don't know, it was like a box of American wine. I don't know what it was. And then I think they even had like canned pumpkin. I don't know. I don't remember. That was like now almost a year ago. So I'll have to wait and see when that time comes closer. But I thought, what the heck, Denmark? You don't celebrate Thanksgiving. And that's not like one of those things that you can just say, oh, we're going to start celebrating it too. It'd be like you starting to celebrate the 4th of July. Why would you want to celebrate the American independence? That doesn't make a lot of sense. But believe me, I'm a little bit appreciative, because if there's something that I need for Thanksgiving that I can't find in Denmark normally, well, maybe Bilka's helping me to make that possible. I don't know. But I think it's a little weird that they're advertising. I don't think there are that many Americans that live in Denmark. I don't know. I'm curious, if you're in the marketing team for Bilka, what are you guys doing? Why are you talking about Thanksgiving? So that's something that we have in Denmark, but I'm going to tell you a little bit more coming up about Thanksgiving, the holiday in Denmark. So stay tuned for that. And then the last thing that you will be, I don't know, shocked, pleased, not so surprised to know about is that in Denmark, they also celebrate Black Friday. And this is one thing that I'm thinking, that they need Thanksgiving so people will know when Black Friday is. It's because in the US, Black Friday is always after Thanksgiving. That's when we decide that our shopping for Christmas is gonna get started, because we don't really want to officially start doing anything for Christmas until Thanksgiving's out of the way. Thanksgiving is not like one of those, oh, it's just a holiday that we have. Thanksgiving is really important. I think it is seriously one of my favorite holidays. I love Thanksgiving, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But Black Friday is something that you will actually see in Denmark. There are a lot of stores, and this was like 2 years ago that I noticed that this was here in Denmark. And I'm like, Black Friday? And there's like 1 or 2 stores that had like a Black Friday sale. I'm like, okay. So I just went and stocked up on socks or something. But I noticed that last year, there were more places that have Black Friday sales. And I thought, okay. So this year, I'm very excited to see just what's going to be coming out in the flyers for Black Friday. I do not think it's going to be anything like what we have in the U.S. So far, it hasn't been. I mean, people they'll like camp out. I mean, I stood in line for hours one time to get a computer at a really good price at like Best Buy in the US. And I remember wearing like all of my snow clothes because it was freezing outside, you know, and people come with like their blankets and their chairs and stuff. We don't have anything like that as far as I know here in Denmark. Nothing too extreme, but Black Friday is here. So be prepared. Now we're going to get into some of the things that are American that you will not find in Denmark for reasons unknown. And the first one I'd like to mention is haunted houses. Yes, I did say that they do have some haunted type things, but they do not have haunted houses. Number 2, I would say, is that Halloween is not everywhere in October. When it comes time for October in the US, it is almost like Halloween month. You can find Halloween stuff from October 1st to October 31st. It is everywhere. And every weekend there will be events going on all over the place in the US. And that's something that is so great because it builds up this excitement for Halloween. You know, and if you're like, because Halloween really is only for a couple of hours on one day, you know, and we think of trick-or-treating. But there could be an event that goes on the weekend before or even 2 weekends before. Maybe it's at a museum. Maybe it's at some local place like the YMCA. Maybe it's at a farm. Another thing that we have in the US that I absolutely love is that we have Halloween shows. So normally these are like cartoon shows like Charlie Brown that you will see every year right around the time of Halloween. It may be on Halloween night, maybe a couple days before, but we will have a night when you don't have your regular shows and then they would play these Halloween cartoons. And we actually watched a Halloween cartoon last night as a family on Netflix. So I think the Danes have a little bit more experience with finding shows like that, but it's not something that's just put onto their regular main channels. In the US, we would generally have 4 main channels that everybody would have, and it would be on one of those channels. And like I said, Halloween candy is not as extreme. We would have M&Ms, and then the M&Ms would be you could buy a bag of just orange M&Ms and it would make things just for the holidays. And then like Oreos would come out and they would be the orange cream filled Oreos. And everything would have like a Halloween theme. So all the stuff that you're normally used to, like the candies and the treats. And then we would have something called candy corn. Oh my gosh, or like these little pumpkins. I mean, it is like full on sugar, but it's just something that we definitely have. I love Brock's candy corn. One thing again is the Reese's. You can find Reese's here, but every holiday you would find, like on Halloween you would have like these pumpkin shaped Reese's. Oh my gosh, they're so delicious. But you can't get those in Denmark. Number 5 is parades. Yes, we do have parades here in Denmark, and they tend to have something to do more with like bands and the military and the royal family. But we would always have like a Halloween parade. where I lived in the US, and we would have a Thanksgiving Day parade, and the Thanksgiving Day parade is huge. That is like a really, really big thing. They have it in New York, they have it in Hawaii, they have them all over really, but we broadcast them on TV, and we would watch them on Thanksgiving from like 10 to 12. I love that about Thanksgiving. Halloween, you might have your Halloween parade at nighttime and people will be dressed up in costumes, but that's something that you generally don't see a lot of here. Number 6 is one thing that I really, really miss, and this is a fall thing, this is not a Halloween thing, is going to the apple orchard. We don't really have apple orchards in here in Denmark like what we do in the US. In the US, you go to an apple orchard, you would have like this really big barn where they would have all these little herbs and everything. You could buy specialty herbs, you could buy creams and jams and mustards and all these types of things. And then they would have a place where you could get apple cider donuts. Oh my gosh, those are so good. They have all these wonderful things. There'd usually be like a wooden playground outside, you know, with like big tractors and trains and all these different things. And you could go out and pick your own apples. You generally could also go out and pick your own pumpkins there as well. But the apple orchard is just, it was always kind of like a ritual. We would always do that every fall, you know, once or twice. It was just always such a really good time. And it's something that I miss about that because we don't have those here in Denmark. My house in the US, we lived in a really nice neighborhood. We had great neighbors, people took care of their homes, and we had an excellent Halloween night. We had a house that gave out hot dogs and juice boxes. We had another house that opened up their garage and had chairs and played like Halloween cartoons in there, like Charlie Brown. Oh my gosh, and they had popcorn machine. It was so much fun. Another house had their lawn professionally decorated to look like a graveyard. It was like the best neighborhood possible when you think about Halloween. And when I was a kid, it was just the norm. It was just so normal to do that. I mean, I remember going to a house where I would get freshly baked donuts. Oh my gosh, you know, I love Halloween. When I lived in the US, we had 200 trick-or-treaters every year. And I know this because I counted the trick-or-treaters. Every time they came, I had a little piece of paper by the door and I wrote down the number and I added it up. So that way I'd be more prepared with how much candy to buy. Because can you imagine if I only had bought this much candy for 200 kids? Crazy. But it was so much fun. I loved seeing them in their little costumes and it was fantastic. And then the last thing, of course, is that they don't celebrate Thanksgiving here. And why would they? It's a very American thing. We celebrate it for a reason. And that reason doesn't have anything to do with Denmark. But when I see ads in, like I said, in the flyers for food and stuff that you can get in Denmark, I keep thinking to myself, well, are there people out there who are actually celebrating Thanksgiving who are Danish? I'm really kind of curious about that. Are you a non-American Canadian who celebrates Thanksgiving in Denmark? What's that like for you? Give me some idea. Why do you celebrate it and what do you do to celebrate it? I know for us that it's the food. I love the food that is made. It's turkey, it's cranberry relish, it's mashed potatoes. We usually do some type of honey glazed carrots, something that do with corn, whether it be corn or it be corn, like a corn casserole. Oh my gosh, green beans. It just depends, everybody has their own thing. Sometimes I make pumpkin pie, sometimes I make sweet potato pie. I love them equally. If I do sweet potato pie, then I maybe make pumpkin cookies or pumpkin muffins. I love cooking with pumpkin. But we sit around our table and we hold hands and we do a prayer and we say what we're thankful for. I love Thanksgiving. Personally, it is my favorite holiday. I love the parade. We stream the parade from the year before and we watch that, which is fine because I still want it on in the background. I still want my kids to be like, oh yeah, Thanksgiving parade. But my family, we would get together and we would go through all the flyers on Thanksgiving and plan our attack for Black Friday. And just to see if there was anything that we really wanted, you know, just to get a jump start on Christmas shopping, really. What do you think about some of these American fall traditions? Are there some that I didn't mention that really come into your mind? Do you have like a Halloween memory that you just absolutely love? Maybe you're from the US or you're from another country. Let me know about it in the comments. And if you are from another country, I would love to know which country also celebrates Halloween. Did you like this video? If so, please give me a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for coming along with me in this video. Don't forget to check out my blog where you can find a lot of posts about things that you can do in Denmark in October and ways that I've experienced Halloween. You can find it in my living abroad section where my personal experiences, or you can also find it in my European travel section. I have a huge section on Denmark, places that we've been to, things that we've done, and there are some specifically for fun fall activities. And be sure to come back for my next video. As always, take care.